everyone. I hope you are all keeping well. As you know, for last few days, I've been talking about, the mistakes, 10 very common mistakes that people make, and which makes a massive difference in making a mess of the business, rent-to-rent business, or making a success out of that business. So, as you remember, for last couple of days, or I think 2 or 3 days now, I have spoken about 4 points out of 10. And just to do a recap, I'm just going to go through them again. So just in case if anybody has missed, then they can just feel connected to it as well. So number one was when people find a deal that is profitable and they get really tempted and they end up taking a deal, although or despite it being very far from where they live. So although on papers and when they do calculations, it looks that the deal has made is going to make them really good profit, but they then don't realize that the time they will be spending in traveling, or money they will be spending on petrol will it will all come to the same amount, which they would have made, if they had picked a property which would have been local and which would have made a little bit less money for them, So don't do that mistake, because, when you're starting out your rent-to-rent business, you will have another job, or, another profession or whatever you are doing, because this is how I started, and you will have limited time. So don't fall into that trap, because always be practical and try and pick your deal locally. That was the first mistake that very often people do. Second mistake that people do is they do the calculation on that property in their head rather than using a deal analyzer. Now, when they do that, there is a very good chance that they will miss out, different figures, and they will not include everything, and they will not really have a true picture. So never ever estimate your bills, and never try and do the calculation in your head, and definitely don't take a deal just on the basis of mental calculation on on a deal. Always use a deal analyzer, so you can actually see how soon you're going to recover your money as well. Yeah. Third mistake that people do very often, that when they are working out the figures and they are working out the rent that they will be getting from that property, you will always find that on spare room there is a range. So say, for example, if a spare room is telling you people are charging between 500 to 600 in that area for a room, and you think in your head that yes, you are going to do the property up and you can afford to charge the higher end rent, then when you're doing your calculation, you just include those higher figures. And when you do that, that means on paper it looks like that you are going to have really good cash flow, and on the basis of that you end up really accepting paying higher rent to the landlord as well. That is another mistake. When you are doing actually your calculation, please make sure that you stick to the lower number for your rent, and be little bit pessimist with it, because if just in case there is a dip in the market, and if you are not getting enough demand, then that will allow you to reduce your rent, because you have already agreed lower rent to the landlord. So it just gives you that little bit of headroom to play with the rent figure. So that's third mistake. Fourth mistake is when people fall in love with the property, and they although they know that the numbers are really tight, and they know that it's not really going to make them much profit, but they try and fiddle with the numbers, they try and work out, so they spend less money on it, they just somehow they try and play with the figures, basically because they really like the property or they really like the area. But what happens in that case, once they've taken the property, they are hit with the bitter reality, and then they either end up making no profit, or they end up making loss, and then that property becomes a liability to them. And very, very soon their infatuation for that property or their love for that property fizzles out. So don't do that. That's mistake number 4. Now, today I'm going to talk about mistake number 5 that people very often do, and that is when they are doing their due diligence on the area. They very often, sometimes people rely on computers and website to work out or to look at the demographics, of the area, to see what type of people live there, what is the crime rate, and just what type of people will be demanding these rooms, or what type of demand they will have. What I would suggest, don't heavily rely on computer, the knowledge that's given on websites. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's always best that you actually have a good knowledge of that area. And it's even better that if you have lived in that area, or you have worked in that area, or if you know the area really well yourself, because then you will actually know what type of tenant will be demanding those rooms, and then you can actually decorate your property, or you can actually set the rent according to that. You will have a really good idea whether it's going to be this property will be suitable for professionals or students, or people on benefit will be taking those rooms. And then you can do the property up accordingly. You can set the budget accordingly, and then you can have a really good knowledge of it. When I took my first few properties, I made sure that I took my properties within the radius of 5 miles. So because I felt confident, and I knew the area really well, and I knew what type of tenants will be demanding. So it helps. Your own confidence, your own gut instinct will help you in that way. Now, another mistake, which is mistake number 6, people do, is that when they are scaling their rent-to-rent business and they hire a virtual assistant. Now, when you're hiring a virtual assistant, I know not many people talk about it, but what I would really say that, it makes a massive difference what type of person is going to be your virtual assistant, and what type of service, that person is going to provide or deliver to your business, or for your business. For example, sometimes many people, they do what they do is they actually use these virtual assistants to take customer inquiries, or their prospective tenants inquiries, or any viewing requests. And many a time I've found that these people, because they are not really that much bothered, because it's not really their business. So many times you find that these people don't really pass these messages on to the landlord, or if you are the one who's managing those properties, so it's in your favor that exactly how many inquiries you are getting, and you attend to those inquiries, and you look after those clients, those people, and you make sure that you are always there when you're arranging viewings. So it's very important that when you are hiring a virtual assistant, only hire a person who's truly or genuinely passionate about customer services, and who is going to do a brilliant job in dealing with your prospective tenants inquiries. Otherwise, make it a point that you deal with those type of inquiries, because from my own personal experience, I have found, because I remember when I wanted to start that business, I had no clue what properties actually look like. So I actually wanted to go and view some of the HMOs, and when I used to ring and leave a message, I knew that those people were just working as virtual assistants. Leave a message to when I used to leave a message to request viewing, nobody really used to get back to me, and I used to think, these people don't really know, these landlords don't know how much business they are losing, So I made it a point that these type of inquiries where somebody is asking for viewings, or, where I need to do the viewings, I made sure that I did all that, because it's very important that you deal with your client inquiries promptly. You look after them, because you are going to leave that lasting impression on them, and it makes a massive difference on your business as well. So that's another pitfall. So make sure that when you are hiring your virtual assistant, or you're about to hire your virtual assistant, you pick either right person, or keep those type of inquiries just for yourself and you deal with it, because you truly care about your business. Okay, if you would like me to help and support you with your business, if you are thinking of starting your rent to rent business, then get in touch with me, and I will be working with you like a shadow, because I have walked the walk, and I will be helping and supporting you as a shadow. So feel free to reach out to me. Okay, take care then. Bye bye.